To allow yourself to be vulnerable is a really scary thing for a lot of people. I recognize that. However, you need to allow yourself to be vulnerable to maintain or even achieve a true, loving, intimate relationship. If you're thinking or feeling something, you need to be able to share that with the person that you're with to be able to maintain or move forward a loving relationship. So if vulnerability scares the hell out of you, you need to really do some journaling and write down your most inner thoughts and take some long, deep breaths to combat anxiety. Do some soul searching. Fantasize about sharing your feelings, because visualization is really powerful. Visualization is a really helpful tool if there's something that you want to tell your partner, fantasize in detail you telling her or him and the response that you're going to get back. Really play it out in your head, because your brain can't really decipher the difference of the things you really think about and the things you actually did. So if you visualize it in detail, that when you actually go to do it, you'll feel like you already did it, like you had a dress rehearsal kind of, right? Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? I think if you're in a relationship and you've got your wall up and you're afraid to be vulnerable and you're afraid to share your feelings because you're afraid that they won't be acknowledged or that they won't be accepted well or whatever it is that you're afraid of, if you don't share them, you're just going to manifest what you are afraid of most, in that they're going to leave you, right? So it's like, to have a healthy relationship, you need to allow yourself to be vulnerable. And ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And if the worst that could happen is that he or she is going to leave you, well, I promise you, he or she is going to leave you if you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable. Because you need to be vulnerable. And by vulnerable, I mean by really sharing your innermost thoughts and feelings. Sharing how you feel about your partner and sharing the things that are important to you. And if you have a hard time doing that, try writing it. Journaling is a wonderful thing, with your pen on paper and really, write in a journal and get used to sharing your feelings that way. It'll make it easier to share them to someone else. It's like when you're writing it down, your brain processes information better and like in a different way. And I think it'll help you feel more comfortable then in sharing your feelings with the person that you're falling in love with or in love with. And it will definitely help prevent you from losing them. And, it's like all too often I think people that are afraid to be vulnerable put up that wall and get angry instead and push away. It's like you push them away before they have a chance to push you away because you're more comfortable with that. But that doesn't need to happen. You're making that happen. And then you're all upset that they left you, right? Or that they didn't love you, but you didn't give them a chance to love you. The first part of being emotionally open to someone is to first know what you're feeling and to be able to express it. So write it down, visualize about it, and then really get comfortable with what it is that you're trying to say, and then share it with your partner. Because I promise you, it makes relationships so much deeper and more rewarding. And if you open up and share your feelings, it will bring you closer together. And that's exactly what you need to do to keep a relationship together.